everybody. This is Deborah MacKenzie with the MacKenzie Network. Thank you again for joining us. Our topics and this episode is going to really be exciting. Remember, our mini series is called Careers from Home, Entrepreneurs from Startup to Seasoned. And so the goal here is that everybody's going to get nuggets, no matter where you are in your business, where you're just starting at the kitchen table, if you are buying and selling companies and whatever it is that you're looking, or if you're looking to possibly do something and get some tips on it. So I'm bringing on a very good friend of mine, this gentleman, Jonathan Bengal. I met him actually at a marketing cruise a while back, and we just connected and we talked about, oh my goodness, so much information about taxes and just about his passion and what he's doing. And he's just such an amazing entrepreneur. And he has taken his business from a startup idea in a kitchen to literally leaving corporate America, the IRS, to starting this huge conglomerate company that is now I don't know if you're on global scale yet, but I know you're sure national. And so, Jonathan, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Hello, Deborah. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest on your show. I'm actually very honored because, yes, like you just said it, we had a great bond on that damn cruise, which, by the way, I refer to as heaven. We were in heaven for 8 lovely, amazing days. And what I know to be true is that when we're entrepreneurs, Uncle Sam says, you know what, you got to go and you got to mingle. It doesn't matter where you mingle, but you got to mingle. And when you do, and you choose to go on a cruise, I'm going to let you deduct a maximum of $2,500 for the cruise, but I'm also going to let you deduct the transportation to get there, your air tickets and everything else that goes with it. Why? Because Uncle Sam is in the business to make money. And he knows that we as entrepreneurs have been brought here to make a shit ton of money. And as a result, we're going to take that money and we're going to invest it, called a deduction, so that we can create more profit, ironically enough, which is less tax, and then use that money to continue to generate more. And I like to call that happiness.
I love it. I think it's great. I'm working right now on a trip next week to Costa Rica. I haven't told you about that one yet. Just popped up yesterday for business. But hey, I'm like, I know it's a write-off. I know I got that, and I'm also going to be meeting 15 more entrepreneurs and business folks. So yes, it's exciting to be able to do that. And when you're used to having the 9-to-5 job, you're not able to have those deductions. You're the boss or the company's getting those deductions, but the employee is not. So that's one reason to take a look at the benefits of really understanding your taxes, how they work for you, how you put them together. And a lot of people don't know what they don't know. So what I'd love to do is, first of all, I'd love to take a few minutes and hear a little bit about your background and what got you to stop working basically for the IRS and say, hey, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah, well, first of all, so a little bit about my background. Well, before I can even start there, I first have to really just talk about who I am, if I may.
Yes, please. We want to know you. Yes.
Street cred. I'll give my street cred. So this is who I am. So really what it is I self-identify as a business intuitive first. And what that means is that I have this unique special power in which I connect with the universe to deliver a message to my clients to help to guide them and transform their lives into the power of who they were born to be. So that's the first thing. But the secondary thing is I'm an IRS enrolled agent, which means that I have studied specifically business tax law to be specific, but also personal tax law as well. And I had to pass an actual exam, just kind of like the bar. But this allows me to practice before the Internal Revenue Service on behalf of my clients. So back tax problems, audit problems, things of that nature, which I don't really do a whole lot of, but I will once in a blue moon. The next thing is I'm an author. I wrote the #1 best-selling book called The ABCs of Deductions, an entrepreneur's guide to tax write-offs. It made me an international and a national author. And it was also a #1 best-selling book in 5 money categories as well. I'm also a renowned speaker. So I speak all over the country on different platforms, via virtual, live, etc. And really talking about what it means to be happy, what it means to be business, financial happiness, so to speak. And then ultimately what I do is I guide heart-centered women and a few good men through what I call the darkness of making money while shredding their taxes and transforming their lives to business, financial happiness. And to me, that's so important because of my past and where I've come from. So where I've come from is I was actually born to a mother, a single mother who had two boys of her own, myself and my younger brother. And she also raised us in extreme poverty, no fault of her own, by the way, considering her background, which was she was born for the purpose of picking cotton, corn, and sugarcane. That was her job. And so when she was able to run away, she ran away with nothing and ended up in nothing, so to speak. And so would end up giving birth to us. And so we grew up in extreme poverty. And what that means is less than $500 a month. So it meant that there were times where we didn't go without much food. There were times where our clothes couldn't be replaced. There were times where we couldn't do basic things. Like a memory that I was just thinking about the other day was how all of my schoolmates, they would go on field trips, or they would be in Boy Scouts, or they would be doing these other little things, or even like buying dollar candy grams. I couldn't do that. That wasn't a luxury that I had. And so in many ways, I kind of missed out, quote unquote, on some of those things. But what poverty taught me was that when you have to hustle, you know how to hustle. You know how to get what you want. And I always say this to this damn day, which is whatever Jonathan wants, Jonathan gets. And it's extremely important that we believe that here in the heart, that what we want is what we will get. All we have to do is move in that direction to obtain it. So this extreme poverty really opens itself up to others. I would call that monetary abuse, if you want to use the word abuse, because the other abuse that I experienced is physical abuse. My mother had a habit of smoking pot, only angry pothead that I've ever met, and would basically beat us up at the end of her smoking a joint or whatever, and she'd back and beat the hell out of us every day for 18 years. She would spiritually abuse us. So what I mean by that is she'd say, God loves you, God wants you, but God also wants me to beat you up. So, there's always conflicting messages in terms of what God is or God isn't. And then the emotional abuse, right? I'm going to leave you behind. I'm going to dump you in the desert and you can find your own way back home. Or, I love you, love you, love you, smack you, smack you. So, there's a lot of this abuse that gets programmed into who we are. And we carry that with us in our personal lives. And then when we become entrepreneurs, because this is the gift we've been given, Deborah, when we become entrepreneurs, we bring that bullshit into the picture as well. And so what that does is it hinders our ability to make money. And it all comes from this place called fear of the unknown, also known as uncertainty. And when we are in an uncertain space, we cannot make the decisions we need to make in our lives to make an impact for ourselves, but also for others. And so we have to get over that, which is why I created a program called my Small Business Financial Happiness Blueprint. And it's all about teaching and empowering heart-centered, primarily, again, women entrepreneurs, few good men, through that darkness. And I walk them through what I call my seed method. So this stands for P, the profit mindset. I introduce you to your number one most powerful person in this world that has been watching over us every single day. And I'm not talking about God. I just told you I had spiritual abuse. So I'm talking about your soul. And when I introduce people to their souls, Deb, it is phenomenal to watch the change happen, because we finally make a connection to someone that loves us and validates us and believes in us and has been our entire life, our entire existence. And when we do that, we now can step into what I call the separation of self, realizing that your business is not who you are, and you are not your business, and your business isn't you. And when we can understand that, we can break away, just like we can break away from the abuse isn't me, it doesn't define who I am. So we can learn to break away from that. Then I can teach you how to legally pay yourself two ways that are tax-free and another way that is not necessarily tax-free. And when we understand that concept, then we can move into sex. And I call it sex and entities. And the reason for that is a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll say things like this. I started an LLC. They don't know why they started an LLC. They just started an LLC. And that's because somewhere along the line, they went to a webinar, they went to a seminar, they went somewhere, and they heard someone say, form an LLC because it's the best tax savings in the world, right? But what they don't understand is that Uncle Sam's laughing in the background. He's kind of like peeping Tom, and he's peeping through the blinds. And he's like, yeah, let me tell you something. So like they think they're a limited liability company and they think they're going to save on taxes. But have I got something to tell you? They're using a dental dam and stuff still comes out on the sides. So what happens is that stuff that comes out on the sides, that's a premium tax. Uncle Sam is still going to charge you a premium, even though you're trying to practice safe sex, a dental dam, right? So he's like, but if you put on a condom, which is 99.99% effective, that's called a C Corp, I have a lower tax rate. Now, I'm not advising everyone in the world to go form a corporation. That's not what I'm saying, because that requires strategic planning. But just understanding that alone helps us to understand why we go into these different entity structures. And once we understand that, then we can talk about what I call advanced deduction. You see, it's one thing to read my book and to read all 68 pages of it and to read everything from A through Z. Z standing for the word zebra, by the way. You go read the book to find out how I pull a zebra into this. So when we look at that, that's one thing. But to actually be strategic about unlocking, uncovering, and revealing what's the opportunity for us, then what we're doing is we're saying, okay, let's talk about miles. I'll give you a tip right now, Deborah, just a tip too. And that is that let's talk about miles. So most of us know as entrepreneurs that when you get in your car and you go and you conduct business somewhere else, you track your miles. Everyone should be doing this, and most people don't, by the way. FYI, it's the most #1 audited area on your tax return, and also require, and you end up paying more taxes because you failed to keep a damn log, but I digress. So you go and you travel somewhere. I teach my students, my clients, how to be strategic about their money. So it's about planning out your day. It's about going, well, I know I gotta go here, 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 and then being strategic so that you can maximize that deduction so that you don't get hit essentially with non-deductions, right? With the personal use of the vehicle. So that's like important. Now, because I primarily work with women, I teach them another really powerful secret. And that is how to hire their children or their grandchildren to actually work for them. And inside of that is a massive tax savings benefit for them as the employer of the business. So I teach them how to do that and what are the rules that requires that. So you can be like a lot of my clients. They're paying their children now to do a lot of the work. And guess what? Their effective tax rate drops. Then you got to talk about D. And I'm not talking about money, honey. I'm talking about documentation. Because the truth is we spend all of our time building these massive businesses of ours, which, by the way, I'm really proud to say that out of my poverty and out of my abuse, I have 3 companies. I'm a multi-6-figure business owner. And this year alone, we're at $250,000 in gross sales by my loans in the South, by the way. So that just showed where we're at, where we're going. So it's about documentation. So you spend your lifetime building up this business, baby. And then Uncle Sam comes a knocking. Hey, Deborah, so check it out, girl. Hey, listen, I need you to send me proof that you had those mileage logs for all those cars. And I also want to see proof of that utility bill. And I want to see proof of that meals. And I want to see proof. And I want to see proof. And I want to see proof. And then what happens is we go, uh-oh, and we take a little tinkle because now we're a little afraid now. Whoops, right? And then we're like, oh my goodness, I don't have that. So we panic and then we make a mistake. So we pick up the phone. Don't you realize you're being accused of committing a crime, quote unquote? Right? Would you go defend yourself in a criminal proceeding in court? No. Who do you call? Jonathan. That's who do you call? Who do you call? You call Jonathan, right? Why? Because the moment you open your mouth and you start talking to the IRS, you are incriminating yourself. Because you say, oh, well, those miles, well, geez, last year I didn't keep the logs either. Do you need those too? Right? Or whatever. Like, this is the shit that happens, right? So anywho's, we protect ourselves. Why? Because when they do come a knocking, Deborah, you're gonna be like all my other clients. Here you go. Here's the logbook. Here's the clock-in book. Here's this. Here's that. Here's and it doesn't have to be complex. That's the other thing. It's simple and it's easy. A lot of people think that tracking your finances and tracking your tax docs requires effort. And the truth is that it just takes a few little clicks of a button, snapping some pictures, and you will protect yourself. And that's what I call the seed method. Now, what is the effect? I call it personal financial security. Because the truth is that that's what we all want. We all want security because insecurity creates a vortex that pulls everything into its center. And while we're swimming in the center of the vortex, we cannot see outside of it to help ourselves. So we all want security because security allows us to take risks. Security allows us to make decisions in our business that are going to be difficult to make. Like, should I fire my employees because they're not really doing the work? Or should I let go of a vendor because they really are too much or too little and the value isn't there? Whatever, right? Or do I get rid of my best friend who's doing my website? Right? So it's really about being able to make those decisions. And when we do, we make more money.
Mhm.
And we make more money and pay less tax. Like, I'm a multi-six-figure business owner, and many of my clients are, and our effective tax rate is less than 18%. It's the key, because I'm using that money to do what I'm doing today, which is here speaking with you, hopefully, right? And inspiring others to see what's possible. So the truth of the matter is that when we're able to finally make more money, because it's one area of security, right? There's love and there's romance, there's other areas of security, but I digress. In this area, if we can improve it, it builds security. And so then it means I get to finally fulfill the dreams of my childhood or my dreams right now as an adult. And more importantly, I get to fulfill the dreams of my family, my husband, my wife, my children, my no children, my dogs, my cats, my fishes, my whatever, right? Like, I get to fulfill their wishes. Or maybe, like the other day, I randomly sent a whole bunch of, Halloween, I sent a whole bunch of Halloween candy to all my nephews and nieces. I just ordered them on Amazon, shipped them away, right? Why? Because I have the resources finally to do that.
Mhm.
And I call that the personal financial security.
I love it. I love it. Let me just tell you, this guy, he can talk all day about taxes and tax savings and what you can do. And I love that he came up. I was actually at an event with him when he came up. What gave you the idea to come up with naked tax talk? I mean, when he came up with it, it was just like, oh my gosh. And then the book, he started journaling. I mean, literally, I was watching him just doing it was just all coming together. And I'm just so excited to see how much just in, I think in the last 2 years, how I've just seen, I mean, your business, you had a very successful business. And now you've just taken that business, instead of it just being about taxes, it's really truly about your client. It's about them really discovering themselves, where most of the time you go into you go to your CPAs, your tax folks, they're like, okay, numbers, figures, here you go. And you're like, well, let's take a look at you. Let's look deeper. Let's dig a little deeper. Let's clear some of this stuff up that's going on so that you can move forward. I haven't met anybody in this industry that does that. I mean, honestly, I don't. It's bring your books to us, bring your things. There's nothing that's, like you said, naked tax talk. I mean, you're sitting there, you're vulnerable. He's sitting there coaching you, giving you some good tips. And it's just amazing. And what I love is that he tell them a little bit. I was asked, I'm sorry, I digress. I digress now. Let me see. Let's go back. How did you get the naked tax talk? How did that actually come about though?
Okay, so the best, I like to talk about my businesses like this. So I actually am a father of 3. So I have a 19-year-old and I have a 2-year-old and I have a 1-year-old. So I'm a busy dad. And my first 19-year-old, his name is JB Financial, and that's my tax prep business. And my second business, my second child, which is 2 years old, that was my unplanned pregnancy. And I gave birth to Naked Tax Talk now 2 years ago. And of course, I just gave birth to Jonathan Bengal, which is my coaching business. So Naked Tax Talk gets born was unplanned, because here I am, July, imagine it, 2019 BC, before COVID. And I'm at a tax conference. And it's for a whole bunch of tax people. And most of us are tax professionals. Some of us can be very dry and wrinkly and old, but I digress. And so I'm at this conference. And actually, I was getting my fellowship. So I'm a fellow of the National Tax Practice Institute, on top of my bachelor's degree in business accounting, on top of my master's in education, and on top of my license as an internal revenue and an IRS enrolled agent. So anyways, so I'm there and I'm freaking cold. Like Vegas keeps their rooms purposely cold so that you have to push harder on the slot machines to keep your fingers warm, right? So, so I'm freezing my ass off. So I grab a bathrobe out of my room, and I'm wearing this bathrobe around everywhere, the conference halls and everywhere. And it was interesting is that when I put this bath suit on, I got two sets of eyes. I got eyes that were curious, like what's with the bathrobe, and then I got eyes that were judgmental. You know those eyes, and they're the ones that go like, that look. And what's fascinating is those memories took me back to when I was in high school, when I was a very out proud gay boy. I was only 14 at the time when I came out. And I got spit on, and I got beat up on, and I got ridiculed, and I was constantly called faggot, queer, all those terrible names. And it was constant. It was every single day. And so when I put this bathrobe on, that's kind of like what I was feeling, because those are kind of eyeballs I was getting, and also getting the curiosity. So finally, Jacob, who's a tax attorney, we're really good friends now, he comes up to me and he's like, okay, I got to know you, and I got to know what's with the bathrobe. And I said, oh, and just like that, my chest tightened, which now I know this is how divine intervention is happening. My chest was tightened, but I didn't know at the time. And all of a sudden, I just get this like, and out of my mouth, literally, I had it without thinking. Oh, I'm the host of a show called Naked Tax Talk, where we bear down to the naked truth about our personal, business, and monetary lives. And what I know to be true is that when we improve upon the self, our businesses, which is a reflection of who we are, improves, and the money, honey, improves, which is a reflection of ourselves and our businesses. And so, boom, bada bang, next thing you know it, I realized I just gave birth to something magical. So I run up, I'm done. Like, okay, Jacob, gotta go. And I run upstairs to my hotel room, push my mother out of the way because she's wanting to have lunch with me. I'm like, I can't have lunch with you right now. So I push her out of the way and I start to register everything, the trademarking, the seeing of it, because now it's technically a marketing business. So I started really just kind of creating everything behind it because I just gave birth to it. And as I talk about in my class, if we treat our businesses like our children, we start to really think about how they function. And so every child has a social security number. Every business has an EIN. And so I started quickly registering just everything. And that's how Naked Tax Talk gets born. I have no clue, by the way, what it looked like. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how often I was going to do. I didn't know anything. And I think this is important. When we, as entrepreneurs, we can get too stuck on, I can't take action because I don't know where this is going. And it impacts us not in our business lives as well, but also our personal lives. When somebody does not know their vision, or they don't know just a little bit of the future, and by the way, I'll talk about in a second, when they don't know these things, what happens is it puts up a block, it puts up a barrier. And so it prevents us from moving forward. Because that's the job of fear. Fear keeps you behind. It keeps you behind here. It keeps you over here. And so what we have to do is we have to just have faith. It's called confidence, walking with faith. We have to have faith. And who do we have faith in? Well, for me, unfortunately, it's not God. For me, it's my soul. It's myself. It's who I am. And by the way, I will say this. My Christian upbringing taught me that God is everywhere. He emanates everywhere, goes through us, around us, and with us. And so therefore, I am God. And so with that, I know I can rely on my own self. And so I'm willing to take a leap. Because you know why, Deborah? We have to always ask ourselves, when was the last time we failed?
Yeah. No, I absolutely, I love that. And I think that of anything you've hit, probably everybody from the startup to the seasoned person can gain something, even those that are watching, that are trying to decide if they want to make their own business. I mean, you just painted forth, pull what's inside of you, make it happen. You didn't know what you were going to do. You just knew you had to do this tax talk. You didn't know. And now it's growing, it's moving into this direction, that direction. But if you hadn't jumped in, and if you hadn't taken that leap, you would still be doing the same thing, even though you were doing great at what you were doing. But now you've added something bigger, much bigger, to give to the world on a global scale versus just, this little area here. So I love it. I love what you've done. And I really would like you to, so everybody knows, to go to the MacKenzie Global Network or go to the MacKenzieNetwork.com, and you're going to connect with Jonathan there. Jonathan and I talked a little bit about some things that he's got going, but would you like to mention, like maybe a special or something that you can offer our viewers that they can go to and expect to get from you?
Yeah, quite honestly, in the show notes, I assume you'll have some show notes. I will have a link that people can go to get a hold of what I call my 5 steps to business financial happiness. Essentially, it's my seed method, but it's in written format, and it's a little bit more drawn out than what I was able to go over today. And that will get you into my world, because let's be real, okay? Let's just be real, which is you're going to enter my world and you're going to get on my list. And then I'm going to send you out newsletters that are built on inspiration and also a little bit of business savviness behind it. The other thing is when you also get that, you also have the option, of course, you can get my book, The ABC for Deduction. I'll leave a link in there as well. And of course, you can check out, right now, the handle is rapidtaxsavingsformula.com, which is Small Business Financial Happiness Blueprint. So for those of us who are seasoned in this world, understand that we are seeing a change, right? We're seeing a renaming here. We're seeing a rebranding going on, but that's where we're going to go right now. And here's why. If I was afraid of how you thought about me in terms of the names, the way I was naming things, or how I was using my links, then I wouldn't have anybody come into my world. You see, this is what I'm talking about, walking with confidence. So full disclosure, rapidtaxsavingsformula.com. It's actually going to be called Small Business Financial Happiness Blueprint. So with that, that's where you can go.
Okay.
And then, and so you can get into my world and get access to that. Why not?
Well, we're definitely gonna get that link and everything set up. And I know that he travels the world speaking on stages. He's got lots of Zoom webinars, courses that you can get trained on different topics. I mean, just so much stuff. And I know it's growing all the time, what he's doing and seeing the needs of folks. So we are going to have to wrap up, but Jonathan, I thank you so much. It's always so fun to see you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again very soon in person, and we can have some laughs and some good times like we always do. But I want everybody to remember this, and this is really what inspired me to take this show on and to do this, is that remember, every connection creates an impact. So guys, we will see you next time on the next show. Have a good one.